Good evening, dear friends. Tonight I'm going to show you that there is no journey to your desires because there is nowhere to go. I'm going to reveal that the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not a distance to be traveled, but an illusion to be dissolved. Most remarkably, I'm going to demonstrate that you arrive at your destination the moment you realize you were never actually traveling. You were already there. The discovery that changed everything came to me through a conversation with a young woman who had been struggling with manifestation for months. She approached me after a lecture, visibly exhausted and discouraged. "Neville," she said, "I've been trying to manifest my ideal life for so long. I visualize every day. I affirm constantly. I hold the feeling of my wish fulfilled. But it's been 8 months, and I still feel like I'm so far away from where I want to be. When will I finally get there?" As she spoke, I noticed something profound in her language. She kept referring to her desires as somewhere she needed to get to, as if they existed in some distant location that required travel time to reach. She was treating manifestation like a journey from point A to point B, complete with the exhaustion that comes from believing you have a long way to go. I said to her, "My dear, you speak of your desires as if they exist somewhere else, and you are here trying to reach them there. But consciousness knows no here and there. In consciousness, everywhere is here and every time is now. Your ideal life doesn't exist in some future location. It exists right here in consciousness, right now, waiting not to be reached but to be recognized." She looked puzzled, so I continued. "You believe there is a time gap between your current experience and your desired experience. You think you must travel through time to get from where you are to where you want to be. But time is not a highway you travel upon. Time is a dimension you can collapse through the power of recognition." I spent the next hour teaching this woman how to close the time gap, not by traveling faster toward her goals, but by recognizing that she had never been separate from them. I showed her how to shift from the consciousness of getting there to the consciousness of being there right now. The transformation was immediate and profound. Within weeks, circumstances began aligning in ways that seemed miraculous. Opportunities appeared that collapsed months of expected progress into days. People entered her life who accelerated her path beyond anything she had imagined possible. But the most remarkable change was in her energy. She no longer carried the weary vibration of someone traveling a long distance. She radiated the peaceful confidence of someone who had arrived. You see, the time gap between desire and fulfillment is not real. It's a construction of the linear mind that believes in separation between now and then, here and there, current reality and desired reality. But consciousness operates beyond linear time. In consciousness, your desire and its fulfillment exist simultaneously in the eternal now. When you desire something, the desire is actually consciousness recognizing a possibility that already exists. The very fact that you can conceive of a specific outcome means that outcome already exists in the infinite field of potential. Your job is not to create that outcome or travel to it. Your job is to close the gap between your current awareness and your eternal reality. Think about this deeply. Every desire you've ever had was born from consciousness recognizing something that already exists in the realm of infinite possibility. You cannot desire something that doesn't already exist somewhere in the fabric of reality. Desire is not creation. Desire is recognition. This means that the gap between you and your fulfilled desire is not a gap in time or space, it's a gap in recognition. You are not moving toward your desire. You are moving toward recognizing that you and your desire were never separate. Let me tell you about a businessman who grasped this principle so completely that he transformed his entire approach to success. He came to me feeling overwhelmed by the long journey he believed lay ahead of him. "Neville," he said, "I want to build a multi-million-dollar company, but I'm starting with almost nothing. The experts say it will take at least 10 years to achieve this level of success. I feel so discouraged by how far I have to go." I said to him, "You are looking at success as a distant destination that requires a decade-long journey to reach. But success is not a place you travel to. Success is a consciousness you embody. In the dimension of consciousness where you already are the successful business leader you desire to be. No time needs to pass because no journey needs to be taken. But I don't have the company yet, he protested. I don't have the revenue, the team, the market position. These things clearly need to be built over time. These things need to be expressed over time, I corrected, but they don't need to be achieved over time. Achievement happens in consciousness instantly. Expression happens in the physical world gradually. When you close the gap between your current identity and your successful identity, the physical expression accelerates dramatically. I taught this man to stop thinking of himself as someone who was going to become successful and start experiencing himself as someone who was already successful, but simply hadn't expressed it fully yet. Instead of feeling like he was at the beginning of a long journey, he learned to feel like he was at the perfect point in the unfolding of his inevitable success. The results were extraordinary. Within 2 years, not 10, he had built exactly the company he had envisioned. But more importantly, he never again experienced the exhaustion and discouragement that comes from believing you have a long way to go. He had learned to close the time gap by recognizing that where he wanted to be and where he was were the same place seen from different levels of awareness. This brings us to one of the most liberating truths about manifestation. You don't have to wait for your good, because your good isn't coming to you. You're coming to the recognition of your good that already exists. Most people exhaust themselves trying to pull their desires from some imaginary future into their present reality. They visualize, affirm, and take action while maintaining the underlying belief that their good exists somewhere else in time, and they must somehow bring it here. But consciousness doesn't work that way. Consciousness doesn't pull things from the future. Consciousness recognizes what already exists in the eternal present. Your desires don't live in tomorrow. They live in the timeless dimension of infinite possibility that exists right now. When you truly understand this, you stop trying to make things happen and start allowing things to be recognized. You stop pushing toward your goals and start pulling back the veil that has been hiding them from your awareness. I remember a woman who had been trying to manifest her ideal romantic relationship for 3 years. She came to me exhausted from the effort. Neville, she said, I'm so tired of waiting for my soulmate to show up. I've done everything: visualization, scripting, social events, personal development. I feel like I'm running towards something that keeps moving further away. I said to her, you speak as if your perfect partner exists somewhere in the future and you must chase him through time. But perfect love doesn't exist in tomorrow. It exists in the eternal dimension of consciousness right now. The gap between you and your beloved is not a gap in time, it's a gap in recognition. I taught this woman to stop chasing love through time and start recognizing love in the present. Instead of feeling like someone who is going to find love, she learned to feel like someone who was already deeply loved but simply hadn't recognized her beloved yet. As she made this shift from seeking to recognizing, everything changed. She stopped the frantic activity of trying to find love and started radiating the peaceful energy of someone who knows love is already theirs. Within 3 months, she met and fell in love with a man who perfectly matched the consciousness she had been cultivating. But here's what was most remarkable. When they met, it felt like a recognition rather than a meeting. It felt like they had always known each other, always been connected, and were simply remembering what had always been true. This is what happens when you close the time gap. Manifestation feels like recognition rather than achievement. It feels like coming home rather than arriving somewhere new. It feels like remembering rather than learning. The secret to closing the time gap lies in understanding the difference between expression and existence. Your desires already exist in consciousness. They don't need time to exist. Time is only required for the expression of what already exists. When you stop confusing expression with existence, you can relax into the knowing that your good already is, even while you patiently allow it to express in the physical world. You can feel fulfilled now, while calmly watching your fulfillment unfold in form. This understanding completely transforms your relationship with time. Instead of feeling like time is working against you, you realize that time is working for you. Instead of feeling like you're racing against some cosmic clock, you understand that you're perfectly on schedule for the unfolding of what already is. Now, you might wonder, if closing the time gap is so simple, why don't more people experience instant manifestation? The answer lies in the difference between intellectual understanding and embodied knowing. Intellectually, you can understand that your desires already exist in consciousness. But emotionally and energetically, you might still be carrying the vibration of someone who has a long way to go. You might still be thinking, feeling, and acting like someone who is traveling toward their goals rather than someone who has already arrived. Closing the time gap requires more than changing your thoughts. It requires changing your entire energetic signature. You must learn to feel like someone who has already arrived, even while your physical circumstances are still catching up to your consciousness. This is why I often tell people, you get there when you realize you're already there. The destination you're seeking is not a future achievement, it's a present recognition. You don't arrive through travel, you arrive through awakening. I knew a young man who understood this so completely that he transformed his entire career in what seemed like record time. He was working in a job he hated, dreaming of becoming a professional musician. Everyone told him it would take years to build the skills, connections, and reputation necessary for success in the music industry. But instead of accepting a timeline that felt overwhelming, he chose to close the time gap. He stopped thinking of himself as someone who was going to become a musician, and started being a musician who simply hadn't been recognized yet. He didn't wait to feel like a musician until he had a record deal. He felt like a musician while he was still working his day job. He didn't wait to act like a professional until he was making money from music. He acted like a professional while he was still playing for free. Within 18 months, he was offered a recording contract that launched his professional music career. But the most remarkable thing was that the success felt natural, inevitable, and perfectly timed rather than surprising or lucky. He had closed the time gap by recognizing himself as already being what he desired to become. The external recognition simply caught up to his internal reality. This is the practical application of closing the time gap. You become now what you want to be later. You feel now what you want to feel then. You think now what you want to think when your desires are fulfilled. But let me be clear about something important. Closing the time gap doesn't mean you stop taking action or become passive. It means you take action from the consciousness of someone who has already arrived, rather than someone who is desperately trying to get somewhere. When you close the time gap, your actions become inspired rather than desperate, confident rather than anxious, natural rather than forced. You act from fullness rather than emptiness, from knowing rather than hoping, from being rather than becoming. The time gap is not a period you must endure. It's an illusion you can dissolve. The journey to your desires is not a distance you must travel. It's a recognition you can make right now. Your desires are not waiting for you in some future moment. They are waiting for your recognition in this eternal moment. You don't need to get there because you are already there. You just need to close the time gap by opening your awareness to what already is. So tonight I invite you to examine your relationship with time and manifestation. Notice where you are carrying the energy of someone who has a long way to go. Observe where you are thinking of your desires as distant destinations rather than present realities. Then begin to practice closing the time gap. Instead of feeling like you're working toward your goals, feel like you're expressing your goals. Instead of thinking you're becoming who you want to be, recognize that you already are who you want to be in consciousness. Feel the relief of arriving rather than the exhaustion of traveling. Experience the peace of recognition rather than the anxiety of achievement. Know the joy of being rather than the struggle of becoming. The time gap between you and your desires is not real. It's a measurement of your awareness, not a distance to be traveled. Close the gap by opening to the truth that you and your fulfilled desires exist in the same moment, in the same consciousness, in the same eternal now. You get there when you realize you're already there. Stop traveling and start recognizing. Stop becoming and start being. Stop waiting and start knowing. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.
Hello and welcome back to the series. In the previous episode, you've learned that wealth exists in consciousness first, and that there's a parallel reality where you're already abundantly wealthy. Now comes the most crucial question. How do you actually access that wealth and bring it into your lived experience? The answer lies in understanding and applying the law of assumption, the most powerful principle for deliberately creating your financial reality. This isn't just another manifestation technique. This is the fundamental law that governs how consciousness creates form. Most people approach wealth creation from a state of hoping, wishing, or wanting. They hope they'll get a raise, wish they could afford their dream house, or want to become financially free someday. While these desires aren't wrong, they actually reinforce the very lack they're trying to overcome. Here's why. When you hope, wish, or want something, you're unconsciously affirming that you don't currently have it. You're operating from a consciousness of lack, and the law of assumption responds by creating more experiences of lacking what you desire. An assumption is completely different from hope or desire. An assumption is a mental state you accept as true, regardless of current evidence to the contrary. When you assume something, you're not hoping it will happen. You're accepting that it's already true in consciousness, and therefore must eventually manifest in experience. Let's look at the practical difference. Hoping, wishing, wanting consciousness sounds like this. I hope I'll be wealthy someday. I wish I could afford that. I want to be financially free. Maybe if I work hard enough, I'll try to manifest money. Assumption consciousness sounds like this. I am wealthy. Money flows to me naturally. Financial abundance is my normal state. Of course, I can afford what I desire. Wealth is simply who I am. Feel the difference between these two states. Hope and wishing carry an energy of separation and lack. Assumption carries an energy of certainty and possession. The power of an assumption lies not in its repetition, but in your conviction. A single assumption, held with complete conviction, will manifest faster than 1,000 affirmations spoken without real belief. Conviction isn't something you work up to. It's something you choose. You can choose to be as convinced of your wealth as you are of your own name. The only difference is that you've had more practice assuming your name than assuming your wealth. This distinction is so important that it deserves its own section. Most people are trapped in wanting money consciousness, not realizing that this very wanting is what keeps money away from them. When you want money, you're unconsciously affirming several limiting beliefs. I don't have enough money. Money is separate from me. I am in a state of lack. My wealth depends on external circumstances. The universe, or the law of assumption, is always saying yes to your dominant consciousness. When your dominant consciousness is I want money, the universe says yes, by giving you more experiences of wanting money, not experiences of having money. This is why people can spend years trying to manifest money without significant results. They're manifesting perfectly. They're just manifesting the experience of wanting money rather than the experience of having it. Being wealthy is an entirely different consciousness. When you assume the state of being wealthy, you feel abundant regardless of your current bank balance. You make decisions from wealth consciousness. You expect money to flow to you naturally. You're generous because you know abundance is infinite. You feel worthy of prosperity and success. This isn't about pretending or acting. This is about recognizing that wealth is fundamentally a state of consciousness, not a bank balance. When you consistently occupy the consciousness of wealth, your bank balance must eventually match your consciousness. The shift from wanting money to being wealthy is fundamentally an identity shift. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who needs to get wealthy, you see yourself as someone who is wealthy. You're just waiting for the external world to catch up with your inner reality. This identity shift changes everything. Your thoughts change. Instead of thinking, how can I get money? You think, how shall I use my abundance? Your feelings change. Instead of anxiety about money, you feel secure and provided for. Your actions change. You make decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. Your relationships change. People respond to your wealth consciousness. Your opportunities change. You notice and attract wealth-building possibilities. Now let's explore the mechanics of how assumptions actually create your financial reality. Understanding this process removes the mystery from wealth creation and gives you precise control over your financial future. Your assumptions about money create a continuous feedback loop that shapes your financial experience. First comes assumption. You hold a deep belief about money, conscious or unconscious. This influences your perception. The assumption filters what you notice and ignore in your environment. This changes your emotion. The perception generates emotions that match the belief. These emotions drive actions that align with your emotional state. Your actions create results that confirm the original assumption. You get reinforcement. The results strengthen the assumption, continuing the cycle. Let's see how this works with both limiting and empowering assumptions. Limiting assumption cycle. Assumption: money is hard to come by. Perception: you notice obstacles, problems, and evidence of financial difficulty. Emotion: you feel stressed, worried, and insecure about money. Action: you make decisions from fear, work harder for less, avoid risks. Results: you struggle financially, money feels difficult to earn. Reinforcement: see, I was right. Money is hard to come by. Now let's see an empowering assumption cycle. Assumption: money flows to me easily. Perception: you notice opportunities, resources, and evidence of abundance. Emotion: you feel confident, expectant, and secure about money. Action: you make decisions from abundance. Take inspired action. Embrace opportunities. Results: money comes to you through various channels with apparent ease. Reinforcement: of course, money does flow to me easily. The law of assumption responds to persistence, not intensity. A moderate assumption held consistently will manifest more reliably than an intense assumption held sporadically. This is why it's better to assume a state of general abundance throughout your day than to do intense visualization sessions once in a while. Your continuous background assumptions are far more powerful than your peak manifestation moments. Think of it like training a muscle. Consistent, moderate exercise over time builds more strength than occasional intense workouts. Similarly, consistent wealth consciousness builds more manifesting power than sporadic bursts of positive thinking. One of the most important principles to understand is that assumptions are more powerful than circumstances. Your current financial circumstances are the result of your past assumptions. Your current assumptions are creating your future circumstances. This means you never need to wait for circumstances to change before you can assume wealth. In fact, waiting for circumstances to change keeps you trapped in the old assumption that created those circumstances in the first place. Instead, you assume wealth consciousness now, regardless of current circumstances, and allow the circumstances to change in response to your new assumption. Most people are trapped in limitation consciousness when it comes to money. This consciousness operates like a self-perpetuating system that keeps them financially stuck, despite their best efforts to change their situation. Before you can change your assumptions, you need to identify what they currently are. Many of your most powerful assumptions about money operate unconsciously, so this requires some detective work. Here's how to identify your current money assumptions. Look at your results. Your current financial situation is a perfect reflection of your dominant money assumptions. If you're struggling, you have assumptions about struggle. If you're comfortable but not wealthy, you have assumptions about limitation. Notice your emotional responses. Pay attention to how you feel when you think about money. Do you feel anxious, excited, guilty, worthy, afraid, confident? Your emotions reveal your assumptions. Observe your inner dialogue. What do you say to yourself about money? I can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. I have to work hard for money. These phrases reveal limiting assumptions. Watch your reactions. How do you react when you see expensive things? When bills arrive? When others talk about money? When opportunities arise? Your reactions reveal your assumptions. Here are some of the most common limiting assumptions that keep people financially stuck. Number 1, scarcity assumptions. There's not enough money to go around. If I have more, someone else has less. Money is limited and scarce. I have to compete for financial resources. Number 2, unworthiness assumptions. I don't deserve to be wealthy. Wealth is for other people, not me. I'm not smart, talented, lucky enough to be rich. Good people don't focus on money. Number 3, difficulty assumptions. Money is the root of all evil. You have to work hard for every dollar. Making money requires sacrifice. Wealth comes at the expense of happiness, relationships, or health. Number 4, identity assumptions. I'm just not a money person. I come from a poor family, so I'll always struggle. Creative or spiritual people aren't good with money. I'm destined to be middle class. Breaking free from limitation consciousness isn't about fighting your limiting beliefs. It's about replacing them with empowering assumptions. Here's the process. Step 1. Clearly identify the specific assumption that's creating your financial limitation. Step 2. For every limiting assumption, create its empowering opposite. For example, money is scarce. Money is abundant and infinite. I don't deserve wealth. I deserve unlimited abundance. Money is hard to earn. Money flows to me effortlessly. I'm bad with money. I'm naturally wealthy and abundant. Step 3. Embody the new assumption. Don't just think the new assumption, embody it. Feel what it would be like if this assumption were absolutely true. How would you feel? How would you move through the world? Step 4. Live from the new assumption. Make decisions, take actions, and respond to situations from your new assumption rather than your old one. This is where the real change happens. Step 5. Persist despite evidence. Continue to embody your new assumption even when external circumstances seem to contradict it. Remember, circumstances are following consciousness, not leading it. When you change your fundamental assumptions about money, you set in motion what Neville Goddard called a bridge of incidents, a series of events, encounters, and opportunities that will lead to the manifestation of your new assumption. These incidents might seem natural and logical in retrospect, but they're actually the universe reorganizing itself to match your new consciousness. Your job is to maintain your new assumption regardless of what appears to be happening. Stay alert to opportunities that align with your wealth consciousness. Take inspired action when opportunities present themselves. And trust the process even when you can't see the full picture. An assumption becomes fact through a process called hardening. When you first adopt a new assumption, it might feel soft or tentative. But as you persist with it, it gradually hardens into unshakable conviction. And once it hardens, it must manifest as fact in your experience. The hardening process happens through repetition, consistently returning to your wealth assumption, emotionally embodying the assumption until it feels natural, making decisions from the assumption until it becomes automatic, and persistence, maintaining the assumption despite contradictory appearances. As we conclude this chapter, it's time for you to consciously choose your new wealth assumption. This isn't just an intellectual exercise. This is you literally choosing your financial future. Here are some powerful wealth assumptions to consider. I am wealthy and abundant in all areas of my life. Money flows to me easily from multiple sources. I am worthy of unlimited financial abundance. Wealth is my natural state of being. I effortlessly attract opportunities for financial growth. Money is my friend and ally. I am financially free and secure. Abundance is my birthright. Choose the assumption that resonates most deeply with you, or create your own. The specific words matter less than your conviction in the assumption. Starting now, your practice is simple but profound. Choose your wealth assumption and write it down. Feel into the assumption several times throughout each day. Make decisions from the assumption rather than from your circumstances. Persist with the assumption regardless of what appears to be happening. Expect evidence of your assumption to show up in your experience. Remember, an assumption, though it may seem false based on current circumstances, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Your wealth assumption isn't wishful thinking. It's the most practical thing you can do to create lasting financial abundance. The law of assumption is not a theory. It's the fundamental principle by which consciousness creates reality. When you truly understand and apply this law to your wealth creation, you'll discover that becoming wealthy isn't about changing your external circumstances. It's about changing your internal assumptions. Your wealthy self already exists in consciousness. Your wealth assumption is how you claim that reality and bring it into your lived experience.
Everything in the universe is vibration, alive with frequency, from galaxies to the smallest particles. And money is no exception. Money is not evil. It's neutral, pure energy, responsive, fluid. It flows based on your inner signal, not your hustle. So the real question isn't, how do I earn more? It's, what energy am I emitting that money is responding to? When we speak about wealth, we're not speaking about digits or gold, we're speaking about resonance. How much you're in harmony with the rhythm of abundance. Money is simply the echo that follows your vibrational command. If you shift your state of being, the outer world has no choice but to follow. This isn't just mindset, it's metaphysics. Your energy at every moment is rooted in either contraction or expansion. These are not moods, they are states of consciousness. Lack is a low, dense frequency. It says there's never enough. I must survive. Flow is light, open, and magnetic. It says, I am in sync with divine supply. You were conditioned into lack. It is not your nature. It was your training. From a young age, scarcity was normalized and abundance was shamed. But flow is your birthright. The universe has never been in shortage, only in abundance. If your thoughts constantly orbit around how, when, and what if, you're unknowingly blocking flow. True wealth begins with the courage to believe you're already supported. Let this sink in. Money is not physical. It's a vibration given form. Just like electricity powers your home, money powers desires, decisions, expansion. It's a medium, not the message. When you shift your inner world, you don't chase money. Money begins chasing you. Because wealth isn't attracted to action, it's attracted to alignment. Every dollar you receive is a snapshot of the vibration you emitted before it arrived. The universe doesn't operate by logic. It follows frequency like water follows gravity. Money shows up in your world to serve a mirror, one that reflects your beliefs about worth, value, and self. And when your energy says, I am already whole, life begins to deliver from that truth. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, every emotion you feel, broadcasts a signature frequency. That frequency determines what you allow, what you resist, and what flows toward you. Think of it like this. Money doesn't come when you're needy. It comes when you're receptive, aligned, and rooted in wholeness. Desperation is repellent. It signals the universe that you don't trust the process. Gratitude, on the other hand, accelerates attraction. It tells the field, I already have. The wealth you seek is already available, but your frequency is the key that unlocks it. If your energy says, I lack, even abundance will pass you by. But if it says, I'm whole, lack can't even find you. This isn't philosophy, it's energetic law. Here are the 3 spiritual mechanics that shape financial reality. 1. The law of vibration. All things respond to frequency, including wealth. 2. The law of assumption. What you expect with conviction becomes real. 3. The law of circulation. The more you flow, the more you receive. These laws are not moral, they are mechanical, they do not punish, they reflect. You're not under judgment, you're under law. And the law doesn't care whether you're spiritual or secular. It simply obeys what you broadcast. These principles govern everything from water to thought to wealth. You don't have to control the law. You only need to harmonize with it. Once you understand these rules, manifestation becomes natural. You are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. Money doesn't show up when you ask. It shows up when you feel it already belongs to you. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. It only knows the emotional signal you send. Your imagination is divine. It is your access point to creation. If you feel wealthy now, the quantum field reorganizes itself to match. Desire is not asking, it's claiming. To feel wealthy while having little is not delusion, it's power. You must walk in the energy of your outcome before the world can show you evidence. Here's the truth. Your outer wealth is capped by your inner beliefs. Most people are running subconscious scripts written in childhood. I'm not good with money. Money changes people. It's selfish to want more. To rewrite these scripts, you must enter the theta brain state, the space between conscious and unconscious. You do this through deep meditation, affirmations charged with emotion, daily reprogramming rituals. Healing your relationship with money is healing your relationship with yourself. Every limitation you carry was inherited, not chosen. But what was once programmed can be reprogrammed. You don't have to fight your beliefs. You just need to consistently feed new ones until they take root. Wealth is not something you chase. It's something you allow once your mind stops resisting it. Money isn't the goal. It's a consequence of who you become. So stop chasing. Start becoming. You're not just a person. You're a field of intelligence, a magnetic current of desire, memory, intention, and light. When you align with your truth, when you act in resonance, when you release the resistance, money shows up, not as a savior, but as a mirror. Every dollar is an echo of how much you believe you deserve to receive. You don't earn money, you allow it. You don't attract money, you harmonize with its rhythm. And once you become the source, the flow becomes endless. This is not magic, it is your natural design. Money is not just energy, it is also a spiritual barometer, a divine test revealing your level of trust, identity, and sovereignty. Many live as if money is their savior, not their reflection. The universe often withholds money to show you that you are the source, not your job, not your bank, not even your effort. When you transcend the need for money, when you stand in the awareness that you are already complete, that's when the floodgates open. Money isn't proof of success. It's the echo of your spiritual freedom. And that's why this knowledge must be shared. Because we live in a world where people worship the symbol and forget their own divinity. You are not chasing money. You are awakening to the truth that it has always been chasing you. The law of energy is simple. Whatever you withhold, you block. Whatever you circulate, you amplify. Money, love, wisdom, insight, they are not meant to be hoarded. They are meant to move, to breathe, to expand. You must give freely and without expectation if you wish to receive in full measure. So ask yourself, what is the purpose of this knowledge? Not just to become wealthier, but to awaken others to the truth of their creative power. To lift the veil, even for one's soul, is a sacred act of service. When you understand that wealth is your nature, your duty becomes this: circulate the energy, share the truth, activate the field. By sharing this message, you are not giving away power. You are multiplying it within yourself and across the field of collective consciousness. There is someone right now living in fear and confusion about money. A single share of this wisdom could open the gates of their mind. You become not just a receiver of wealth, you become a distributor of abundance. If this content made sense to you, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Help others see that they too have the power to transform their financial reality. And remember, this is just the beginning. Subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content like this, which will help you grow, evolve, and achieve the life you deserve. Leave your comment below, telling us how you plan to put this into practice, and let's build a community focused on prosperity and transformation together.
What if I told you that your bank account right now has absolutely nothing to do with your ability to create massive wealth? What if I told you that someone living paycheck to paycheck could manifest $10,000 faster than a millionaire could manifest their next million? And what if I told you that everything you've been taught about money, work hard, save more, invest wisely, is actually keeping you trapped in financial struggle? Before we dive in, If you're ready to transform your relationship with money forever, comment below, "I'm ready for unlimited wealth." Let the universe know you're serious about this transformation. I know that sounds crazy, but in the next few minutes, I'm going to completely shatter everything you think you know about wealth creation. And I'm going to show you the one invisible force that creates all money in your life. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some people seem to effortlessly attract money while others work themselves to death and stay broke. More importantly, you'll know exactly which side you want to be on. But first, let me share something that might shock you. Did you know that 80% of millionaires are first-generation wealthy? That means they didn't inherit their money, they created it from nothing. But here's what's even more shocking. Most of them don't credit their success to hard work, education, or even luck. When researchers interview self-made millionaires, the number one factor they credit for their wealth is what they call mindset, or thinking differently. They operated from a completely different consciousness around money. Let me start with a story that changed everything for me, and will probably change everything for you too. Two people, both 35 years old, both college graduates, both living in the same city with the same cost of living. Person A works 60 hours a week at their corporate job, has 3 side hustles running on weekends, follows every financial guru's advice religiously, budgets every single penny that comes in and goes out. They read investment books voraciously, attend wealth seminars religiously, track their expenses obsessively, and sacrifice their social life for financial goals. They do everything the experts tell them to do. Person B works part-time at a job they absolutely love, spends money freely on things that bring them joy and fulfillment, never worries about their finances, never checks their bank balance obsessively. They've never read a finance book or attended a wealth seminar in their life. They don't even have a budget. To most financial advisors, person B would be considered financially irresponsible. After 5 years, guess who has more money? If you guessed person A, the hard-working, disciplined, financially educated one, you'd be completely wrong. Person B not only has more money, they have 10 times more money. And here's the part that will blow your mind. Person B didn't inherit it, didn't win the lottery, didn't get lucky with crypto or stocks, didn't start with any advantages whatsoever. They came from the exact same middle-class background as person A. The only difference, and I mean the only difference, was what was happening in their consciousness around money. Person A was operating from what I call scarcity consciousness, the deep-seated belief that money is hard to get, that you have to work extremely hard for every dollar, that there's not enough to go around, that you have to sacrifice and struggle to be worthy of wealth, that rich people are either lucky or somehow morally compromised. Person B was operating from wealth consciousness, the absolute knowing that money flows easily and naturally to those who are aligned with it, that opportunities are everywhere waiting to be recognized by someone with the right awareness, that abundance is their natural birthright, that wealth is simply a reflection of their inner state of being, that money is a tool for good and they deserve to have plenty of it, and that consciousness difference created completely different financial realities. This is what I call the great money deception. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Your entire relationship with money will transform forever. But before we go deeper, let me address something you might be thinking right now. You might be saying, "This sounds too good to be true. This sounds like positive thinking nonsense. I've tried affirmations and vision boards, and they didn't work." And you're absolutely right to be skeptical, because what I'm about to share with you isn't about positive thinking or affirmations or pretending your problems don't exist. This is about understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself and how consciousness literally creates physical experience. Quantum physics has proven that consciousness affects physical reality at the most fundamental level. The observer effect demonstrates that the act of observation actually changes what's being observed. At the quantum level, particles exist in all possible states simultaneously until consciousness collapses them into a specific reality. This isn't philosophy or metaphysics. This is hard science. And if consciousness can affect reality at the quantum level, Why would we assume it doesn't affect something as mundane as money? Here's the lie that's been programmed into all of us since we were children, reinforced by our parents, who learned it from their parents, taught in our schools, promoted by our society, and especially perpetuated by the financial industry itself, because it keeps them in business. We've been told that money comes from external effort alone. Work harder, get more money. Work smarter, get more money. Get more education, more skills, more connections, more experience. Get more money. Save more, invest more, budget more, sacrifice more, hustle more. The entire financial world operates on this fundamental assumption that money is created through external action and external action alone. And look, I'm not saying those things don't matter at all. External action is important. But here's what nobody tells you. Here's the secret that the financial industry doesn't want you to know, because it would put them out of business. All of that external action is completely powerless without the right consciousness behind it. You can have the best financial strategy in the world, but if your consciousness is tuned to scarcity, that strategy will fail. You can work 80 hours a week, but if your inner state is one of lack and limitation, you'll stay broke no matter how hard you work. Think about it like this, and this analogy will change how you see everything. You have two people planting identical seeds, same size, same genetic potential for growth. One person plants their seeds in rich, fertile soil that's been prepared with organic nutrients, perfect drainage, optimal pH levels, ideal moisture content, and perfect conditions for growth. They've created an environment where those seeds can't help but flourish. The other person takes the exact same seeds and plants them in concrete, hard, impenetrable concrete that won't allow any growth whatsoever. They water them with the same care, give them the same amount of sunlight, tend to them with the same attention and dedication. Which seeds grow? Obviously, the ones in fertile soil. The external action, planting the seed, watering it, giving it sunlight, caring for it, was identical. But the environment, the foundation, the soil itself determined whether those seeds would flourish or die before they even had a chance to sprout. Your consciousness is that soil. Your beliefs about money, your assumptions about wealth, your inner state around finances, your subconscious programming about what you deserve, your inherited beliefs from your family, your cultural conditioning about rich people. That's the environment where all your financial efforts either flourish or die before they even have a chance to grow. And here's where it gets really interesting. Here's where most people have their biggest breakthrough moment. Most people have been trying to grow money in concrete their entire lives, wondering why nothing's working, wondering why they can't get ahead no matter how hard they try, wondering why other people seem to have it so easy while they struggle for every dollar. They're focused entirely on the external actions, the seeds they're planting, the watering, the care, while completely ignoring the soil of their consciousness. But consciousness, that invisible inner environment, that's the true source of all wealth. And once you understand this, once this really clicks at a deep level, everything changes. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the conscious creator of your financial reality. So let me ask you something that might seem obvious at first, but I want you to really think about it, really contemplate it deeply. Where does money actually come from? Most people would immediately say work or business or investments or the stock market or real estate. But think deeper than that. Think about the fundamental source. Where do business ideas come from? Where do investment opportunities come from? Where do job opportunities come from? Where do the insights that lead to financial breakthroughs come from? Where do the innovations that create billion-dollar companies come from? They come from consciousness, from awareness, from your ability to recognize patterns that others miss, see possibilities that others overlook, and attract what already exists in the infinite field of potential. Every single dollar that has ever entered your life came to you through your consciousness first. You became aware of an opportunity that others didn't see. You recognized a possibility that others missed. You had an idea that others didn't have. You met the right person at the right time. You were in the right place when the opportunity presented itself. You had the insight that led to the breakthrough. And here's the key that changes everything. The money was always there, existing in the quantum field of infinite possibilities, waiting for someone with the right consciousness to recognize it and claim it. Think about this. Every business that exists today, every fortune that's been made, every financial opportunity that's ever manifested, all of these existed as possibilities long before someone made them real. The internet existed as a possibility long before it was invented. Amazon existed as a possibility long before Jeff Bezos started it in his garage. Your next financial breakthrough exists as a possibility right now, waiting for your consciousness to tune into it. Your consciousness is like a radio antenna that can tune into different frequencies of possibility. When your consciousness is tuned to scarcity, you literally cannot see the opportunities that are right in front of you. Your brain filters them out because they don't match your predominant frequency. When your consciousness is tuned to wealth, you become a magnet for financial opportunities. You start noticing things you never noticed before. You start attracting people and circumstances that create abundance. Let me give you a perfect example that will make this crystal clear. And this is a true story that one of my students shared with me. Sarah was struggling financially for 7 years straight. She was working 2 jobs, one as a waitress and one cleaning offices at night, barely making ends meet, stressed about money constantly, living paycheck to paycheck with no savings. She tried everything the financial experts recommend. She used budgeting apps. She tried multiple side hustles. She took on extra shifts. She even went back to school to get additional certifications. She read every money book she could find, attended every free wealth webinar, followed every piece of conventional financial advice. Nothing worked. In fact, things seemed to get worse the harder she tried. She was stuck in what I call the effort trap, the belief that more effort equals more results. But she was applying all that effort from scarcity consciousness, so she kept getting scarcity results. It's like trying to drive a car with the parking brake on. No matter how hard you press the gas pedal, you're not going to get very far. Then she learned what I'm teaching you right now. She stopped focusing on her current financial situation and started operating from wealth consciousness. Instead of making decisions from I can't afford it, she started making decisions from how can I afford it. Instead of thinking I'm broke, she started assuming I have access to unlimited wealth. Instead of worrying about money constantly, she started feeling grateful for the abundance that was already flowing to her, even if she couldn't see it yet. Instead of seeing herself as someone who struggles with money, she started seeing herself as someone who naturally attracts wealth. Within 3 months, her life completely transformed. First, her boss at the restaurant offered her a management position she didn't even apply for, along with a 40% salary increase and benefits. A week later, a customer she had served once months earlier approached her about a business partnership in the wellness industry that would essentially double her income working fewer hours. 2 weeks after that, her neighbor, who was a successful entrepreneur traveling abroad for 6 months, asked if she wanted to house sit their beautiful $2 million home rent-free while they were gone. A month later, she was walking through a parking lot and found a wallet with $300 cash inside and no identification. After following all the legal procedures and waiting the required time period, she was legally able to keep the money. But here's where it gets really interesting. 2 months after that, she had an idea for an online course teaching people her wellness routines. She had never created an online course before, had no technical skills, no marketing experience, no business background. But from her new consciousness of abundance, the idea felt natural and exciting rather than overwhelming and impossible. She launched that course and made $15,000 in her first month. Within a year, she had built a 6-figure business working from home, doing what she loved. Now, did Sarah suddenly become more qualified overnight? Did she suddenly develop new skills? Did she become more hardworking? Did she get lucky? Did the universe randomly decide to bless her? No. She became more conscious. She aligned her inner state with wealth, and wealth began flowing to her through channels she never could have planned, predicted, or forced. That's the power of consciousness in action. But here's what really blew her mind when she looked back on that transformation. All of those opportunities, the management position, the business partnership, the house-sitting arrangement, even the wallet, had been potential realities all along. The restaurant had been looking for a manager for months, but hadn't considered her because she was just a waitress. The customer had been thinking about starting a wellness business for years, but hadn't found the right partner. The neighbor had been stressed about leaving their house empty, but hadn't thought to ask her. The opportunities were always there, existing in the field of infinite possibility. But when Sarah was operating from scarcity consciousness, she was literally invisible to those opportunities, and they were invisible to her. Her consciousness wasn't tuned to the frequency where those possibilities could manifest. When she shifted to wealth consciousness, she became a vibrational match for those opportunities, and they flowed to her naturally. But here's what's really wild. Here's what will probably give you chills when you fully understand it. Your current financial reality is actually showing you exactly what's happening in your consciousness right now. It's like a perfect readout of your inner state around money. What I'm about to share will change how you see money forever. I call it the money mirror principle, and it's one of the most profound truths about wealth creation. Your external financial reality is a perfect mirror reflection of your internal financial consciousness. Not what you consciously want, not what you hope for, not what you tell yourself you desire, not what you post on social media that you want, but what you truly believe and assume to be true about money. At the deepest levels of your subconscious mind, your bank account, your income, your financial opportunities, your money problems, your relationship with wealth, all of it is reflecting back to you the exact consciousness you're broadcasting about money, most of which is happening below your conscious awareness. This is why you can't lie to the universe. You can't fake wealth consciousness. You can't pretend your way to abundance. The mirror of reality always shows you the truth of what's really going on inside your consciousness. If you're experiencing financial struggle, that's showing you that somewhere in your consciousness, you have beliefs that support struggle. If money flows easily to you, that's showing you that your consciousness is aligned with ease and flow. If you look in a physical mirror and see a frown, you don't try to change the mirror, right? You don't get angry at the mirror or try to convince it to show you a smile. You don't put makeup on the mirror or try to manipulate the reflection. You change your facial expression, and the mirror changes automatically and instantly to match your new expression. Same with money. If you want to change your financial reflection, you have to change your financial consciousness first. The external always follows the internal, never the other way around. This is why trying to create wealth through external action alone is like trying to change your reflection by manipulating the mirror. It doesn't work because you're working on the effect rather than the cause. When someone truly believes, not hopes, not wishes, not wants, but truly believes at a cellular, subconscious level, that money comes easily to them, their entire behavior shifts automatically, without effort. They notice opportunities that were always there but invisible to them before. They make different choices without even thinking about it consciously. They take different actions that feel natural and effortless, rather than forced and difficult. They attract different people into their lives. They have different conversations. They show up differently in the world. And those shifted behaviors create completely different results. When someone believes deep down that money is hard to get, that they have to struggle for every dollar, that they don't deserve wealth, that rich people are somehow bad or different, that there's not enough to go around, they unconsciously sabotage every opportunity that comes their way. They overlook possibilities that are right in front of them. They make fear-based decisions that keep them stuck in limitation. They attract people and circumstances that confirm their limiting beliefs. They engage in self-sabotaging behaviors without even realizing it. And they get fear-based, limited results that match their inner state. Let me give you another example that illustrates this perfectly. I had a student named Marcus who was making 6 figures in his corporate job, but was constantly stressed about money. Despite earning more than most people ever will, he never felt financially secure. He was always worried about losing his job, always anxious about unexpected expenses, always feeling like he didn't have enough. He had money coming in regularly, but it never felt like enough. As we worked together, we discovered that he had these deep unconscious beliefs that money was dangerous, that it corrupted people, that wealthy individuals were somehow morally inferior to poor people. He had absorbed these beliefs from his family, who always talked about evil rich people, and how money is the root of all evil, and how wealthy people got that way by taking advantage of others. Even though he consciously wanted more money and security, his subconscious was programmed to reject wealth and feel guilty about having it. So even though money came in regularly through his high-paying job, it always went out just as fast through what seemed like unavoidable circumstances. Unexpected medical expenses, major car repairs, family emergencies where he felt obligated to help, bad investment decisions that seemed smart at the time, friends who borrowed money and never paid it back, tax problems, you name it. His subconscious mind was literally rejecting the money because his deepest beliefs weren't aligned with having and keeping wealth. He was like a bucket with holes in the bottom. No matter how much water you pour in, it all leaks out. He could make more money, but until he fixed the holes in his consciousness, he would never be able to keep it or feel abundant. Once he identified and shifted those limiting beliefs about money, once he started seeing wealth as a tool for good, as a way to help others, and make a positive impact, as a natural expression of value creation rather than exploitation, everything changed. Not only did he stop the financial leaks and keep his money, he started attracting much more of it. He got promoted twice in 8 months to positions he never even knew existed in his company. He started a successful consulting business on the side that brought in an additional $50,000 in its first year. His investment portfolio began performing better than it ever had, even though he didn't change his investment strategy. He even won a $5,000 contest he entered on a whim. Same person, same skills, same effort level, same external circumstances, completely different consciousness, completely different results. But changing consciousness isn't about positive thinking or daily affirmations or vision boards, though those can be helpful tools when used correctly. It requires understanding something much more fundamental and powerful that most people never learn. This brings us to the law of assumption, the most powerful principle in money creation, and honestly, in all of reality creation. Most people have never heard of the law of assumption, even though it's operating in their lives every single day. They've heard of the law of attraction, but the law of assumption is far more powerful and far more practical. Here's the critical difference that changes everything, and pay close attention, because this could be the most important thing you ever learn about creating wealth. When you hope for money, when you wish for wealth, when you want financial abundance, you're actually affirming and reinforcing the fact that you don't currently have it. Hope implies lack. Wishing implies absence. Wanting means you're focused on what you don't have rather than what you do have. Every time you hope for money, you're unconsciously telling the universe, I don't have money, please give me some. And the universe responds by giving you more experiences of not having money. But when you assume wealth is yours, when you operate from the inner knowing that abundance is your natural state, when you make decisions as if you already have access to unlimited financial resources, you're claiming wealth as already true in your reality. You're not asking for it, you're not begging for it, you're not hoping for it. You're assuming it, you're embodying it, you're living from it. Let me give you a simple example that will make this crystal clear and show you how assumption works in everyday life. If I told you right now to hope that you're wearing clothes, that would be strange, right? You don't hope you're wearing clothes, you assume it, you know it. It's not even a question. You don't have to check. You don't have to wonder. You don't have to convince yourself or use affirmations to believe it. You simply assume that you're clothed, and you operate from that assumption automatically and unconsciously. That assumption affects everything about how you show up in the world. You don't worry about being naked. You don't feel self-conscious about your nudity. You don't hope that people won't notice you're not wearing clothes. You simply operate from the assumption that you're appropriately dressed, and that assumption creates your entire experience of reality in that moment. That's exactly how you need to relate to money and wealth. Not as something you're desperately trying to get. Not as something that's outside of you that you need to chase or struggle for. Not as something you have to convince the universe to give you, but as something you already have natural, unlimited access to. It's a shift from I want money to I am wealthy. From I hope I can afford it to I can afford anything I truly desire. From money is hard to get to money flows to me easily and constantly. In the quantum field of infinite possibilities. And quantum physics has proven this scientifically through experiments like the double-slit experiment. There exists every possible version of reality simultaneously. There's a version where you're struggling financially, and there's also a version where you're incredibly wealthy. There's a timeline where you're worried about money, and there's a timeline where money is never a concern for you. There's a reality where you work hard for every dollar, and there's a reality where money comes to you effortlessly. All of these realities exist simultaneously in what physicists call the quantum field. When you assume the wealthy version as your true reality, when you embody that timeline with your thoughts, feelings, decisions, and actions, you begin collapsing that possibility into your physical experience. You start attracting the people, circumstances, opportunities, and resources that exist in that wealthy timeline. The difference between wanting money and being wealthy is the difference between lack consciousness and abundance consciousness. Wanting keeps you perpetually in a state of not having, being puts you in a state of already having. And the universe always gives you more of whatever state you're predominantly in. Think about it this way. If you want ice cream, that means you don't have ice cream. The wanting itself is an affirmation of lack. But if you're eating ice cream, you're not wanting it, you're having it, enjoying it, being satisfied by it. When you want money, you're in the frequency of not having money. When you assume you're wealthy, you're in the frequency of having wealth. And when you truly understand this, when this clicks at a deep level, you realize that there's an actual frequency to wealth itself. Let me introduce you to what I call the wealth frequency. And this concept alone could transform your entire financial reality forever. Everything in existence operates at different vibrational frequencies. This isn't mystical nonsense. This is basic physics that you can measure with scientific instruments. Love has a measurable frequency. Fear has a frequency. Gratitude has a frequency. Joy has a frequency. And wealth, abundance, financial prosperity. These have a very specific frequency that you can learn to tune into consciously. Scientists have actually measured the frequency of different emotions using devices like HeartMath technology. They found that emotions like gratitude, love, and appreciation create coherent, harmonious frequency patterns, while emotions like fear, anger, and worry create chaotic, incoherent patterns. When you're in coherent frequency states, you literally become more magnetic to positive outcomes and opportunities. When you align your consciousness with the wealth frequency, when you match your inner vibration to the vibration of abundance, you become a magnet for money. You start attracting opportunities, ideas, people, insights, and circumstances that create financial abundance. It's not magic or wishful thinking. It's physics. Think of it like tuning a radio, and this analogy will change how you think about consciousness forever. When you tune to 101.5 FM, you receive that station's signal clearly. When you tune to 95.3 FM, you get that station instead. The radio waves for both stations are always there, filling the air around you simultaneously, but you only receive the one you're tuned to. You can't receive multiple stations clearly at the same time. You have to choose one frequency to focus on. When you tune your consciousness to the wealth frequency, you receive wealth. When you're tuned to the scarcity frequency, you receive scarcity. When you're tuned to the struggle frequency, you receive struggle. When you're tuned to the abundance frequency, you receive abundance. The opportunities for all of these experiences are always present, but you can only receive the ones that match your frequency. Most people are unconsciously broadcasting the scarcity frequency 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're constantly transmitting thoughts, feelings, and energy of lack, worry, limitation, not enough, Fear about money, stress about bills, anxiety about the future, resentment toward wealthy people, beliefs that money is hard to get. And the universe, like a perfect mirror, reflects back exactly what they're broadcasting. They get more experiences of lack, more bills to worry about, more financial stress, more reasons to feel anxious about money. But once you learn how to consciously tune to the wealth frequency, your entire financial reality transforms. You start operating from assumption rather than hope, from abundance rather than lack, from gratitude rather than worry, from excitement rather than fear. You begin making decisions the way wealthy people make decisions. You start seeing opportunities the way wealthy people see opportunities. You attract the same types of people and circumstances that wealthy people attract. Here's what happens when you break free from limitation consciousness. And I want you to really pay attention to this, because this is where the magic happens. This is where your life actually changes. You stop seeing money as something outside yourself that you have to chase, struggle for, work impossibly hard to get, or convince someone else to give you. You start recognizing that wealth consciousness already exists within you right now, waiting to be activated and expressed through your thoughts, feelings, decisions, and actions. You stop making decisions from I can't afford it, and start making decisions from how can I afford it? Or even better, what would someone who already has unlimited money do in this situation? Instead of thinking I'm broke, you start thinking I'm in a temporary cash flow situation, but I have access to unlimited wealth. Instead of saying I can't, you start saying I choose not to. Right now, but I could, if I wanted to. Instead of I wish I had money, you start saying I'm grateful for my abundant resources. But here's the most important part, and this is where most people get confused or think. This is about denial or delusion. None of this requires you to deny your current financial situation or pretend that your bank account has more money than it actually has. You're not lying to yourself or living in fantasy land or ignoring reality. You're simply operating from a different level of consciousness, a different assumption about what's possible for you. You can acknowledge your current situation while simultaneously operating from wealth consciousness. You can say, I currently have $500 in my bank account, and I have access to unlimited wealth. You can say, I'm currently experiencing a cash flow challenge, and I know that abundance is my natural state. You can say, my income is currently X, and I'm open to receiving much more. The key is holding both truths simultaneously, the current physical reality and the larger spiritual reality. You're not denying what is, but you're also not limiting yourself to what is. You're acknowledging what is, while claiming what's possible. Most people make the mistake of thinking that acknowledging their current financial situation means they have to accept it as permanent. But that's not true. You can acknowledge where you are while simultaneously moving toward where you want to be. In fact, you have to acknowledge where you are in order to move beyond it, because you can't change what you won't acknowledge. The moment you truly grasp that consciousness creates your financial reality, not the other way around, everything shifts in the most profound way. You realize you've been trying to solve an inner problem with outer solutions. You've been trying to change your bank account to feel wealthy, when the real secret is to feel wealthy first and let your bank account catch up. You've been trying to change your circumstances to change your feelings, when the truth is you have to change your feelings to change your circumstances. Most people are waiting for their external circumstances to change before they'll allow themselves to feel abundant. They think, once I have more money, then I'll feel wealthy. Once I get that promotion, then I'll feel successful. Once I pay off my debts, then I'll feel free. Once I reach my financial goals, then I'll be happy. But that's backwards. That's like waiting for the mirror to smile before you smile. It will never happen, because the mirror can only reflect what you're already expressing. You have to feel wealthy now, in this moment, regardless of your current circumstances. In order to attract the experiences that will match that feeling, you have to embody abundance before abundance can manifest in your life. You have to become the person who has what you want before you can have what you want. This is why some people can start with nothing and create massive wealth quickly, while others can work for decades with all the right strategies and stay stuck financially. It's not about luck, connections, education, intelligence, or even hard work, though all of those can be helpful. It's about consciousness. It's about the frequency you're broadcasting. It's about the assumptions you're operating from on a moment-to-moment basis. When you embody wealth consciousness, when you truly assume that abundance is your natural state, when you make decisions from overflow rather than scarcity, the universe has no choice but to reorganize itself to match your new level of consciousness. Opportunities appear seemingly out of nowhere. Ideas download into your mind like inspiration from another dimension. The right people show up at the right time with the right resources. Synchronicities become normal, everyday experiences. What most people call luck becomes your standard operating procedure. Your consciousness is the soil where your financial future grows. And just like a farmer wouldn't plant seeds in concrete and expect them to flourish, you can't plant money goals in scarcity consciousness and expect them to manifest. But when you prepare the soil of your consciousness, when you cultivate beliefs that support wealth, when you assume abundance as your natural state, every financial goal you plant will grow and flourish beyond what you thought possible. The financial industry doesn't want you to know this because it would put them out of business. They want you to believe that wealth creation is complicated, that you need their products and services, that you have to follow their complex strategies and formulas, that you need to work with financial advisors and buy their investment products and follow their complicated plans. But the truth is much simpler and much more powerful than anything they're selling you. Wealth is an inside job. It starts in consciousness and flows outward into physical reality. When your consciousness is aligned with abundance, the right strategies, opportunities, and resources will naturally appear in your life. When your consciousness is aligned with scarcity, no strategy in the world will create lasting wealth for you. This doesn't mean that external action isn't important. Of course, you need to take action. But when action comes from wealth consciousness rather than scarcity consciousness, it feels inspired rather than desperate, effortless rather than forced, exciting rather than overwhelming. You find yourself naturally attracted to the right opportunities and naturally repelled by the wrong ones. You make better decisions because you're not operating from fear. You take more calculated risks because you're not afraid of losing what little you have. Here's what I want you to understand at the deepest level. You are not your circumstances. You are not your bank account. You are not your current financial situation. You are consciousness itself. And consciousness has the power to create any reality it assumes to be true. The money you want already exists. The wealth you desire is already yours in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. The only question is whether you're going to claim it or continue to reject it through limiting beliefs and scarcity consciousness. Every wealthy person started exactly where you are right now, as consciousness contemplating wealth. They didn't have the money first and then develop wealth consciousness. They developed wealth consciousness first, and then the money followed. This is the sequence that creates lasting abundance: consciousness first, then manifestation, not the other way around. Your current financial situation is not your financial identity. It's just where you happen to be right now, based on the consciousness you've been operating from up until this point. But consciousness can change, which means your financial reality can change. And the beautiful thing is that when consciousness changes, reality changes quickly to match it. I've seen people transform their financial lives in weeks or months by simply shifting their consciousness around money. I've seen people attract unexpected income, new opportunities, and financial windfalls by learning to operate from wealth consciousness rather than scarcity consciousness. And I've also seen people work incredibly hard for years without success because they never addressed the consciousness foundation that creates wealth. The universe is abundant. There is more than enough money, more than enough opportunities, more than enough resources for everyone to live in prosperity. The only limitation is in consciousness. When you release the limitations in your consciousness, you release the limitations in your financial reality. But transformation requires commitment. It requires you to be more committed to your vision of abundance than you are to your current story of limitation. It requires you to choose faith over fear, possibility over circumstance, assumption over hope. It requires you to trust the process, even when you can't see immediate results. Remember, consciousness is the cause, and financial reality is the effect. When you change the cause, the effect must change. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and often the when is much sooner than you think possible. If this resonates with you, if something inside you knows that this is true, if you feel that spark of recognition that says, yes, this is how it really works, then you're ready for transformation. If you're tired of struggling with money, if you're ready to step into your natural abundance, if you're willing to let go of the limitations that have kept you stuck, then wealth consciousness is calling you. I want you to identify one limiting belief you've been carrying about money. Maybe it's money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work hard for money, or there's not enough to go around, or rich people are greedy, or I don't deserve wealth, or money is the root of all evil. Acknowledge it, because awareness is the first step to transformation. You can't change what you're not aware of. Then rewrite that belief into an empowering assumption. Instead of money doesn't grow on trees, think money flows to me easily and naturally from multiple sources. Instead of I have to work hard for money, think I create wealth through inspired action and joy. Instead of there's not enough, think I live in an abundant universe with unlimited resources. Instead of I don't deserve wealth, think I deserve all the abundance life has to offer. In the comments below, write your new empowering money belief. Share your wealth consciousness assumption with this community. Let the universe see your declaration of abundance. Hit that like button if you're ready to shift from limitation consciousness to wealth consciousness. Subscribe to this channel, because understanding consciousness is just the beginning. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Sometimes we're so close to our own limitations that we can't see them, but we can recognize them in others. By sharing this, you might be the catalyst for someone else's financial breakthrough. But most importantly, start operating from wealth consciousness today. Don't wait for your circumstances to change. Don't wait for more money to appear. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Start now, in this moment, with the decision to assume that abundance is your natural state. Remember, your consciousness is the soil where your financial future grows. Make sure you're planting your money goals in fertile ground. Your wealth transformation doesn't start when your bank account changes. It starts when your consciousness changes. And that can happen right now, in this moment, with this decision. The wealthy version of you already exists in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. That version is calling to you right now, inviting you to step into that reality. The question is, are you ready to answer that call? Are you ready to release the limitations that have kept you small? Are you ready to claim the abundance that is your birthright? Your new financial reality is waiting for you to claim it. The universe is ready to support your transformation. Wealth consciousness is ready to be activated in your life. The only question is, are you ready to step into wealth consciousness and become the abundant person you were always meant to be? This is your moment of choice. This is your invitation to transformation. This is your opportunity to step out of limitation and into limitless possibility. The choice is yours, and it starts with consciousness. Choose wealth. Choose abundance. Choose the unlimited financial potential that exists within you right now. Your journey to financial freedom begins here. Your transformation to wealth consciousness starts now. Welcome to the abundant life you deserve.
Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am going to reveal the single most destructive assumption that ruins more manifestations than any other. Tonight I am going to expose the hidden belief that keeps your desires forever out of reach, even when you think you are doing everything right. This assumption hides in the shadows of your consciousness. You may not even know you hold it, but it is there, quietly sabotaging every technique you practice, every visualization you perform, every affirmation you speak. What is this hidden assumption? It is the belief that your desire is too good to be true. Tonight you will learn how this insidious belief operates. You will learn how to recognize it in yourself. And most importantly, you will learn how to eliminate it completely and replace it with the assumption that allows your desires to manifest effortlessly. Are you ready to destroy the belief that has been destroying your manifestations? Then let us begin. Let me show you how this assumption reveals itself. You desire something wonderful: wealth, love, health, success, freedom. You begin to imagine it. You feel into it. You start to assume you have it. And then quietly, subtly, almost imperceptibly, a thought whispers, "This is too good to be true." Maybe you do not think those exact words. Maybe the thought comes disguised. "This seems impossible for someone like me. Things like this don't happen to people like me. This is too much to ask for. I don't deserve something this good. Life doesn't work this way. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is." These are all variations of the same poisonous assumption. Your desire is too good to be true. It is too wonderful, too perfect, too extraordinary to be real, and therefore it cannot be yours. This belief is deadly. Why? Because it is an assumption, and all assumptions harden into facts. When you assume something is too good to be true, you are assuming it is not true. You are dwelling in the state of "this is impossible for me." You are occupying the consciousness of limitation, unworthiness, and disbelief. And consciousness creates from the state you occupy. If you dwell in "too good to be true," consciousness creates circumstances that confirm your assumption. Your desire remains forever out of reach, not because it is actually impossible, but because you assumed it was impossible. Let me show you how this destructive assumption gets installed in your consciousness. From childhood, you were taught that life is hard, that good things are rare, that you must struggle and sacrifice to get anything of value, that if something seems too easy or too wonderful, there must be a catch. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. How many times have you heard this? How many times have you repeated it yourself? This saying seems like practical wisdom. It seems like it is protecting you from disappointment, from being fooled, from setting yourself up for failure. But what it actually does is program your consciousness to reject anything wonderful. It teaches you to distrust good fortune. It trains you to assume that the extraordinary is impossible for you. You were also taught comparison. You looked at others who had what you desired, and you were told, or you told yourself, "That is for them, not for me. They are special. They are lucky. They are different. I am ordinary. I am unlucky. I am not worthy of such things." And through years of repetition, through countless moments of doubt and self-limitation, this assumption became embedded in your consciousness. Good things are for other people. Extraordinary things are too good to be true for me. Now, whenever you try to manifest something wonderful, this hidden assumption activates. It whispers its poison. It sabotages your techniques. It keeps you in the state of lack even while you are trying to assume abundance. Let me show you exactly how this belief destroys your manifestations. You practice the techniques perfectly. You visualize your desire. You feel yourself living in your wish fulfilled. For 20 minutes, you are in the most beautiful state of consciousness. You feel wealthy, loved, successful, free. Then you open your eyes. You return to your daily life. And immediately that whisper comes. "That was nice, but it is too good to be true. That level of abundance doesn't happen to people like me. I was just fantasizing." In that moment, you have undone your entire practice. You have collapsed back into the state of lack. You have affirmed that your desire is impossible. You have chosen the assumption of limitation over the assumption of fulfillment. Or perhaps you practice your assumption during the day. You think from the state of having your desire, you affirm, "I am wealthy," or "I am loved," or "I am successful." But underneath, hidden beneath the surface, is the contradictory belief that this is too good to be true for me. Your conscious mind says, "I am wealthy." Your subconscious whispers, "But not really. This is too good to be true." And which assumption wins? The deeper one, the hidden one, the one you truly believe in your subconscious. This is why people can practice techniques for years without results. They are assuming their desire on the surface, while simultaneously assuming it is impossible beneath the surface. The hidden assumption of too good to be true is stronger than the conscious assumption of fulfillment. Here is the terrible irony. When you assume something is too good to be true, you make it too good to be true. Not because it actually is impossible, but because your assumption creates impossibility. Let me explain. In consciousness, there is no such thing as too good to be true. There are only assumptions, and assumptions become facts. If you assume you can have something, you can have it. If you assume you cannot have something, you cannot have it. The universe does not judge whether your desire is too good. It simply manifests your assumptions. So when you assume your desire is too good to be true, the universe says, okay, it is too good to be true for you, and creates circumstances that match your assumption. But here is what you must understand. That same desire is not too good to be true for someone else who does not hold that limiting assumption. Why do some people manifest extraordinary wealth while others struggle in poverty? Same universe, same laws, same possibilities. The difference is assumption. The wealthy person does not assume wealth is too good to be true. They assume wealth is natural, normal, expected for them. Why do some people effortlessly attract love while others remain lonely? The difference is assumption. The loved person does not assume love is too good to be true. They assume love is their natural state. Your desires are not too good to be true. But if you assume they are, they become too good to be true for you. And that is the tragedy. Let me give you a simple test to see if this hidden assumption is sabotaging your manifestations. Think about your desire right now. Picture it clearly. See yourself having it, living it, being it. Now notice, what is the very first feeling that arises? Is it peace, satisfaction, natural acceptance, or is it a slight discomfort, a whisper of this is too much, a feeling of this is not really for me? If you feel any resistance, any sense that your desire is somehow beyond you, too extraordinary for you, not meant for you, you are holding the too good to be true assumption. Here's another test. Imagine someone else having your exact desire. Picture them living in abundance, being loved, experiencing perfect health, enjoying complete success. Now notice, do you feel that is natural and acceptable for them, or do you think, well, they are different? They are special. They are worthy. But I am not. If you can easily imagine others having what you desire, but you struggle to imagine yourself having it, you are holding the limiting assumption. One more test. Complete this sentence honestly. My desire is wonderful, but whatever comes after but is your hidden sabotaging assumption. My desire is wonderful, but it is too much to ask for. My desire is wonderful, but people like me don't get things like this. My desire is wonderful, but I don't deserve it. My desire is wonderful, but it is not realistic. That but reveals the poison. That but is the assumption that sabotages everything. Now let me give you the truth that destroys this limiting belief. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing. In consciousness, in the infinite field of possibility, in the dimension where all creation happens, there is no such thing as too good. Wealth is not too good. Love is not too good. Health is not too good. Success is not too good. Perfect happiness is not too good. Complete freedom is not too good. These are all simply states of consciousness, and all states of consciousness are equally available to you. None is more real or more possible than another. None is too good for you. Think about this. You exist. You are consciousness. You are the operant power in your world. You create your reality through your assumptions. Is there a limit on what consciousness can create? Is there a ceiling on what assumptions can manifest? Is there a point where something becomes too good for consciousness to produce? No. Consciousness is infinite. Consciousness is unlimited. Consciousness is God. And to God, nothing is too good to be true. You are not asking for something outside the realm of possibility. You are not trying to create something too wonderful for existence. You are simply choosing which of the infinite possibilities to experience. And all possibilities from poverty to wealth, from loneliness to love, from sickness to health, are equally possible. None is too good. None is beyond you. Now let me teach you how to completely eliminate this sabotaging assumption and replace it with the truth. Step 1. Expose it. The first step is bringing the hidden assumption into the light. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Say out loud, I have been assuming my desire is too good to be true. I have been believing that this level of goodness is not possible for me. I see this belief now, and I recognize it is just an assumption, not truth, just assumption. Do not judge yourself for holding this belief. Do not feel shame or guilt. Simply observe it with clarity. Ah, there it is. That is the assumption that has been sabotaging me. Step 2. Recognize it as learned, not truth. Remind yourself this belief that my desire is too good to be true is not reality. It is something I learned. It was programmed into me by society, by authority figures, by past experiences, but it is not truth. It is just an assumption I adopted. This is crucial. When you realize this belief is learned, you realize it can be unlearned. It is not an eternal truth. It is not a law of the universe. It is just a thought pattern you picked up and you can put it down. Step 3. Declare the opposite. Now, consciously choose a new assumption to replace the old one. Say with absolute conviction, nothing is too good to be true for me. I am consciousness. I am the operant power. All states are equally available to me. My desire is not too good. It is perfectly natural for me to have it. Repeat this. Say it morning and evening. Say it whenever the old assumption tries to return. You are reprogramming your consciousness with a new truth. Step 4. Find evidence in imagination. Your subconscious believes what it experiences. So give it experiences of your desire being true. Every night, imagine yourself having your desire. But as you imagine, notice the feeling that arises. If you feel this is too good, stop and correct it. Say to yourself, this is not too good. This is exactly right for me. This is natural. This is true for me in consciousness. Then return to the imaginal act with this corrected assumption. Feel your desire as natural, normal, completely appropriate for you. The more you experience your desire in imagination without the too good resistance, the more your subconscious accepts it as possible and natural. Step 5. Affirm your worthiness. Often too good to be true is really too good for me. It is a worthiness issue disguised as a reality issue. So address it directly. I am worthy of all good things. I am deserving of extraordinary blessings. I am consciousness itself, and consciousness has no limit on what it can create for itself. I am worthy because I am. This is not arrogance. This is recognition of your true nature. You are not a limited human begging for scraps. You are infinite consciousness, and infinite consciousness is worthy of infinite good. Step 6. Practice with small things first. If your desire feels too overwhelming, if the too good feeling is too strong, start smaller. Assume something wonderful but less overwhelming. Experience it manifesting. Let your consciousness see, oh, good things can happen for me. This is possible. Then gradually expand. Assume bigger and bigger desires. Train your consciousness to accept that nothing is too good for you. Step 7. Revise past rejections. Think back to times when you rejected good things because they seemed too good to be true. Maybe someone complimented you and you dismissed it. Maybe an opportunity appeared and you doubted it. Maybe you felt unworthy of love, wealth, or success and pushed it away. Revise these moments. Replay them in imagination, but this time you accept the good, you believe the compliment. You trust the opportunity. You know you are worthy. This revision rewrites your history and dissolves the pattern of rejecting good. Now let me give you the assumption that replaces too good to be true. Your new assumption is this. This desire is not too good to be true. This desire was made for me. It is perfectly designed for me. It is exactly right for me, and I am exactly right for it. Feel the difference in this assumption. Not maybe I can have it if I am lucky. Not this is too good but I will try anyway. But this is mine. It was made for me. Of course I have it. This is the assumption of natural possession. Not grasping, not hoping. but knowing, this is mine because it is made for me. When you hold this assumption, the resistance dissolves. The too good feeling disappears. You simply accept your desire the way you accept your own name as natural, obvious, completely appropriate. Let me address another aspect of this belief. Many people assume that if something is good, it must be hard to get. If it comes easily, it must not be valuable. This is another variation of too good to be true. It says good things require struggle. If my desire manifests easily, it is too good to be true. But this is backwards. Consciousness does not require struggle. Consciousness creates effortlessly. Think about how easily you create negative things. You assume something bad will happen and it manifests quickly with no effort. You worry and circumstances arise to match your worry. This happens easily, naturally, automatically. So why would positive things be any different? Why would wealth, love, health, and success require more effort than poverty, loneliness, sickness, and failure? They do not. All creation happens through assumption. An assumption is effortless. You either assume something or you do not. There is no struggle required. When your desire manifests easily, it is not too good to be true. It is consciousness operating as consciousness always operates, effortlessly creating what you assume. Let me tell you about a man who finally broke through this limiting belief. He desired significant wealth. He practiced techniques for 2 years. He visualized, he affirmed, he did sats nightly, but nothing happened. He came to me frustrated. I am doing everything you teach, he said. Why is this not working? I asked him to imagine his desire. I told him to picture himself wealthy, living in abundance, completely free financially. He closed his eyes. He visualized. After a moment I said, now what are you feeling? He opened his eyes. I feel uncomfortable. It feels too big, too much. Like I am imagining someone else's life, not mine. Ah, I said. There it is. You assume wealth is too good to be true for you. Every time you practice your techniques, this assumption undermines them. He was shocked. He had not realized. This belief was operating beneath his conscious practice. I taught him what I am teaching you tonight. I showed him how to expose the belief, challenge it and replace it. Every night he practiced imagining wealth. But now whenever the too good feeling arose, he stopped and said, no, this is not too good. This is exactly right for me. Wealth is natural for me. I am worthy of this. This is mine. He persisted in this for 3 weeks, and something shifted. The resistance dissolved. Wealth stopped feeling too big, too much, too good. It started feeling natural. 1 month later, an unexpected opportunity appeared. A business idea that had been sitting dormant suddenly found investors. Within 6 months, he had the financial abundance he had been desiring for years. And when I asked him what changed, he said, I stopped believing my desire was too good to be true. I started knowing it was exactly right for me. And once I made that shift internally, everything shifted externally. Let me show you how to recognize when this assumption is active so you can catch it and correct it immediately. Sign number 1. You discount compliments or good fortune. Someone tells you you are talented, beautiful, brilliant. You immediately think they are just being nice or they don't really mean it. This is the too good to be true assumption. You cannot accept something good about yourself because you assume good things are not really true for you. Sign number 2. You feel uncomfortable imagining your desire fulfilled. When you visualize your desire, you feel awkward, silly, or like you are pretending. This is the assumption that your desire is too extraordinary for you. Sign number 3. You immediately think of reasons why it will not work. You imagine your desire, and your mind immediately jumps to all the obstacles, all the reasons it is impossible, all the ways it could fail. This is too good to be true, disguised as realism. You are rejecting your desire before you even give it a chance. Sign number 4. You can accept it for others, but not yourself. You see someone living your desired life, and you think good for them. But you do not think that is available for me too. This is the assumption that good things are for other people, not for you. Sign number 5, you qualify your desire with but. I would love to be wealthy, but I desire this relationship, but I want perfect health, but every but is the too good to be true assumption undermining your desire. Catch these patterns. The moment you notice them, stop and correct. No, this is true for me. This is possible for me. This is mine. Here is the ultimate truth about too good to be true. The phrase itself is meaningless in consciousness. Good is subjective. What you call good, consciousness calls a state. What you call too good, consciousness calls another state. Consciousness does not evaluate whether something is too good. Consciousness simply creates whatever state you assume. If you assume a state you call too good, consciousness creates it, just as easily as it creates a state you call acceptable or realistic. The only thing preventing you from experiencing extraordinary good is your assumption that it is too extraordinary for you. Remove that assumption, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing, standing between you and your desire. Let me give you a declaration to repeat daily. Until this new assumption is deeply rooted, nothing is too good to be true for me. I am consciousness, and consciousness has no limits. All states are equally available to me. My desires are not too much, too big, or too extraordinary. They are perfectly natural for me to experience. I am worthy of infinite good because I am infinite consciousness. I now accept all the wonderful things that are mine. They are not too good to be true. They are exactly right for me. Say this every morning when you wake. Say it every night before sleep. Say it whenever the old assumption tries to return. You are reprogramming your consciousness. You are installing a new truth that allows your desires to manifest effortlessly. Tonight, before you fall asleep, I want you to do something specific. Imagine your desire fulfilled. See yourself having it, living it, being it. Make it vivid and real. Now, notice if the too good to be true feeling arises. If it does, stop immediately. Say firmly, this is not too good to be true. This is natural for me. This is mine. I accept this as my reality. Then return to your imaginal act with this corrected assumption. Feel your desire as natural, obvious, completely appropriate for you. Fall asleep in this state. Not hoping it might be true, but knowing it is true. Not wishing it could be yours, but accepting it already is yours. Do this every night, and throughout your day catch every thought that suggests your desire is too good for you. Correct it immediately. Replace it with the truth. The only thing that makes something too good to be true is your assumption that it is too good to be true. Remove that assumption, and you remove the limitation. Your desires are not too good. They are not too extraordinary. They are not beyond you. They are perfectly natural states of consciousness. And you are consciousness, therefore they are yours for the assuming. Stop sabotaging yourself with this hidden belief. Expose it, challenge it, replace it, and watch as the desires you thought were too good to be true become your everyday reality, because they were never too good. They were always yours. Thank you, and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I will see you in the next video. Good evening, my friends. The truth I'm going to reveal tonight will shatter one of the most persistent illusions that keeps humanity trapped in endless cycles of wanting, hoping, and never receiving. That illusion is this: the belief that you must see signs before you can believe, that manifestation is a slow process, that you must wait for evidence before you can know your desire is real. Where are the signs? You cry. Give me proof that this is working. I've been imagining for weeks. Where are the results? These are the desperate pleas I hear from students all across the country. These are the very words that reveal why their desires remain locked away from them. Tonight, I declare to you a truth so revolutionary, so contrary to everything you've been taught. that your mind will resist it. Manifestation is always instant, always. And the very act of looking for signs is the great destroyer of manifestation itself. You see, when you look for signs, you're unconsciously declaring that your desire hasn't manifested yet. You're living in the state of waiting for it to happen, rather than knowing it has happened. And that state, that consciousness of waiting, is exactly what you'll continue to experience. I can see some of you shifting uncomfortably in your seats. Good. Truth should disturb you. It should shake you awake from the comfortable lie that manifestation is about time, about effort, about deserving, about signs. Let me shatter another illusion for you. Manifestation is not about time. It's about assumption. It's not about effort. It's about acceptance. It's not about deserving. It's about consciousness. The moment, the very instant, you truly assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, that desire is completely manifest in consciousness. Not partially, not gradually, completely. And consciousness, whether you believe it or not, is the only reality there is. Now you're asking the burning question. If manifestation is instant, Neville, why don't I see results immediately? Why does it sometimes take weeks, months, or even years for things to appear in my physical world? Listen closely, for this is where most students lose their way. The delay you experience is not in the manifestation. It's in your acceptance of the manifestation. Your desire is not slowly coming to you. You are slowly coming to your desire. You're gradually moving into the state of consciousness where your fulfilled desire feels natural, normal, inevitable. A desperate woman once confronted me after a lecture in New York. She was trembling with frustration. "Mr. Goddard," she said, her voice breaking, "I've been imagining prosperity for 3 months, every night, faithfully. But I see nothing. My bills pile higher, my bank account shrinks, my creditors call daily. Where are the signs? Where is even one small indication that this is working?" I looked into her eyes and saw immediately why her prosperity remained elusive. "Madam," I said gently but firmly, "you have just confessed your sin. You are looking for signs. Every morning when you wake, what do you do first?" "I check my bank account," she admitted. "And what are you looking for?" "To see if money has appeared." "And when you find the balance unchanged, what do you feel?" Her shoulders sagged. Disappointment. Doubt, fear that it's not working. "Then you have your answer," I told her. "You are not imagining from prosperity. You are imagining toward it. You are not assuming abundance. You are hoping for it. And hope, dear lady, is the great destroyer of all manifestation." What I taught her next changed her life forever. I leaned forward and spoke words that cut through her desperation like a sword through silk. Stop looking for signs and start being the sign. If you were truly prosperous, not hoping to be, not trying to be, but actually prosperous in consciousness, would you be frantically checking your bank account each morning? Would you be searching your mailbox like a beggar looking for scraps? The question hung in the air between us. I could see the truth dawning in her eyes. A prosperous woman, I continued, wakes with the quiet confidence of someone whose abundance is assured. She moves through her day making decisions from plenty, not scarcity. She doesn't look for prosperity because she lives from prosperity. This woman made a decision that night that transformed everything. She stopped her morning ritual of checking her bank account. She stopped scanning her mail for unexpected money. She stopped asking the universe for signs. Instead, she began each day feeling the contentment of a woman whose financial worries were behind her. The change was swift and dramatic. Within weeks, opportunities appeared from the most unexpected sources. Old debts were repaid. New income streams opened. And prosperity flowed into her life with such naturalness that she later told me it felt not like a miracle, but like the inevitable unfolding of what had always been true. But mark this well. She stopped looking for her prosperity the moment she started living from it. This reveals the great secret that mystics throughout the ages have whispered in sacred chambers. When you stop looking for your manifestation and start living from it, the physical world has no choice but to conform to your assumption. But why is this principle so difficult for the human mind to grasp? Because we have been trained backwards, conditioned to believe in a sequence that doesn't exist. We think first desire, then effort, then signs, then manifestation. This is the great lie. The true sequence is this. Desire appears, manifestation occurs instantly in consciousness, acceptance gradually dawns, and finally, inevitably, reflection appears in the physical world. Most souls get trapped in the middle phase. They desire, the desire manifests immediately in consciousness, but then they panic and start searching for external proof before they'll accept what has already been completed in the realm of reality. It's as if you planted a seed in perfect soil, then spent every day digging it up to see if it was growing. The very searching destroys what you seek. Consider another case that came to my attention. A young man burning with love for a woman who seemed as distant as the stars. For months he had been faithfully imagining conversations with her, seeing himself as her chosen one, feeling the bliss of being beloved by her. Yet each day brought fresh torment. He analyzed every glance she gave him. He dissected every word she spoke. He read meaning into every pause, every smile, every gesture. Surely, he thought, if my imagination is working, there must be some sign in her behavior. When he came to me, his eyes were hollow with exhaustion. "Mr. Goddard," he said, "I've been so faithful to my imaginal acts, but she shows no interest. If anything, she seems more distant than before. How long must I wait for signs that she's beginning to love me?" "Young man," I replied, "you've answered your own question without knowing it. You're waiting for signs. Every moment you spend analyzing her behavior for evidence of love, you're affirming that she doesn't love you yet. You're living in the consciousness of hoping to be loved, rather than knowing you are beloved." I could see the confusion in his face, so I spoke more directly. "Tell me, when a man knows he is deeply loved by a woman, does he spend his days anxiously searching her face for proof? Does he analyze her every word for hidden meaning? No, he simply enjoys the love that exists between them." The transformation in his understanding was immediate. "You're saying I should act as if she already loves me." "I'm saying something far more radical than that," I replied. "I'm saying she does already love you in consciousness, where all reality exists. Your only task is to stop contradicting that reality with your seeking and start living from it with your being." What happened next demonstrates the power of this principle perfectly. The moment he stopped searching her behavior for signs of love and started simply being a man who was loved, everything changed. He became relaxed in her presence instead of anxious. He was naturally himself instead of performing for her approval. He spoke to her from confidence instead of need. Within a fortnight, she began responding to him completely differently. Within a month, she was seeking his company. Within 3 months, she had declared her love for him in words that echoed exactly what he had been imagining all along. But here's what fascinated me most about his account. When she finally spoke those words of love, he felt no surprise, no excitement, no sense of miracle accomplished. Instead, he felt a deep satisfaction, as if something that had always been true was finally being acknowledged by the world of appearances. This is your sign that manifestation has truly occurred in consciousness, when the physical manifestation feels inevitable rather than miraculous, natural rather than supernatural, obvious rather than amazing. Now, I must address the question that's burning in many of your minds tonight. "But Mr. Goddard, surely it's natural to want some confirmation that our imagination is working. How can we know we're not simply deceiving ourselves?" There's the trap. You want to know if it's working? Then answer me this. If you were living in the end result of your fulfilled desire, would you be asking if it was working? Would a happily married woman wonder if her marriage was real? Would a truly wealthy man question whether his prosperity existed? The very need for confirmation reveals that you are not living from your desire. You're still living toward it. Here's a truth that will liberate you. When you're genuinely living from your assumption, you don't need external validation because you are the validation. Your entire being becomes evidence of the reality you're inhabiting in consciousness. Let me illustrate this with a story that reveals the profound difference between seeking proof and being proof. A businessman approached me in desperation. His company was failing, creditors were circling, and bankruptcy seemed inevitable. He had been imagining success for months, but saw no change in his circumstances. Mr. Goddard, he said, I visualize prosperity every day, but my accountant shows me nothing but red ink. I pray for a sign, just one indication that my situation is improving. Instead, everything gets worse. How much longer must I wait for evidence that imagination works? I studied his face and saw immediately the source of his continued struggle. Sir, I said, you speak of waiting for evidence, but tell me, when you wake each morning, what do you do first? I check my bank balance and review my debts. And what are you looking for? Some sign of improvement, some indication that things are changing. And when you find no such indication, he slumped in his chair. I feel defeated, hopeless, like a fool for believing in imagination. Then you have solved the mystery of your continued failure, I told him. Every morning you are not rising as a successful businessman. You are rising as a man checking to see if he is successful. Can you see the difference? He sat in silence, the truth of my words sinking in. Finally he spoke. You're saying that by looking for signs of success, I'm actually affirming my current failure. Precisely. A truly successful man doesn't wake wondering if his success is real. He wakes knowing it, feeling it, living from it. His decisions flow from success. His thoughts originate in success. His very posture embodies success. I gave him specific instruction. For the next 30 days you are forbidden to check your bank balance. You are forbidden to review your debts. You are forbidden to ask your accountant for updates. Instead, every morning you will spend 10 minutes feeling the satisfaction of a man whose business thrives beyond his wildest expectations. Feel the relief. Feel the pride. Feel the joy of abundance. But what about my actual bills? He protested. What about the creditors calling? Pay what you can pay from your consciousness of abundance, not scarcity. Make decisions from success, not desperation. And above all, stop looking for signs that you're becoming successful. Start being successful in consciousness right now. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Though by the time it manifested, it felt perfectly natural to him. Within 2 weeks, an old business associate contacted him with an unexpected partnership opportunity. Within a month, new contracts appeared from sources he'd never imagined. Within 3 months, his company was not just stable but thriving. But the most remarkable part of his testimony was this. Mr. Goddard, by the time these opportunities appeared, I wasn't even surprised. I had been living from success for so long, in consciousness that the external success felt like it was simply catching up to where I already was. This is the key to understanding why manifestation is always instant, yet sometimes appears to take time. The manifestation occurs instantly in consciousness. The physical reflection appears when you fully accepted and embodied that consciousness. But the most remarkable part of his testimony was this. Mr. Goddard, by the time these opportunities appeared, I wasn't even surprised. I had been living from success for so long in consciousness that the external success felt like it was simply catching up to where I already was. This is the key to understanding why manifestation is always instant, yet sometimes appears to take time. The manifestation occurs instantly in consciousness. The physical reflection appears when you fully accepted and embodied that consciousness. Let me explain this even more clearly. Imagine consciousness as a vast ocean. Your desire exists in that ocean as a perfect, complete reality right now. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you dive into that ocean and touch that reality. It's there, it's complete, it's real. But most people, the moment they touch it, panic and swim back to the shore of their old consciousness. Did I really touch it? They wonder. Let me look for signs that it's there. And in that looking, they've already left the ocean where their desire exists and returned to the barren shore of seeking. To manifest in the physical world, you must learn to live in that ocean. You must make your home in the consciousness where your desire exists. Stop swimming back to shore to look for footprints. Stop searching for evidence that the ocean is real. Simply live in it, breathe in it, move in it, until that watery world becomes more natural to you than dry land. Then, and only then, will you look around and find that the physical world has somehow become the ocean you were living in all along. Now some of you are thinking, but Neville, what about synchronicities? What about meaningful coincidences? Aren't those signs that our manifestation is coming? Listen carefully, for this distinction is crucial. True synchronicities occur when you're living from your assumption, not when you're looking for proof of it. When you're genuinely inhabiting the consciousness of your fulfilled desire, the universe naturally rearranges itself to support that state. Events occur, people appear, opportunities emerge, but these are not signs that your manifestation is coming. They are expressions of the manifestation that has already occurred in consciousness and is now reflecting into the physical world. The difference? When you're looking for signs, you see them as proof that you're on the right track, and you feel relief. See? It's working. But when you're living from your assumption, synchronicities feel perfectly natural, even expected. Of course this happened. This is consistent with who I am. One is the consciousness of seeking. The other is the consciousness of being. A woman came to me once with an interesting observation. She said, "Mr. Goddard, I've noticed something strange. When I desperately looked for signs that my desire was manifesting, I saw none. But now that I've stopped looking and simply lived from my fulfilled desire, I see synchronicities everywhere. Why is that?" I smiled at her question because it revealed her growth in understanding. "My dear," I said, "you've discovered one of the great paradoxes of manifestation. When you look for signs, you see none, because your looking comes from lack. But when you stop looking and simply live from fulfillment, signs appear everywhere because your being creates them. It's like this," I continued. "A desperate person looks at a closed door and sees only an obstacle. But a confident person looks at the same door and sees an opportunity. They simply open it and walk through. The door hasn't changed. The consciousness observing it has changed." She understood immediately. The synchronicities had always been there, but only when she stopped looking for them as proof of something coming could she see them as expressions of something that already was. Here's a practical technique I want to share with you tonight. Something you can apply immediately. Tonight, when you lie down to sleep, choose one desire, just one. Instead of imagining it coming to you, imagine that it has been yours for quite some time. Imagine the naturalness of it, the ordinariness of it, the taken for granted quality of it. If you're manifesting prosperity, don't imagine receiving money. Imagine the comfortable feeling of someone who has had abundance for years. Feel the casualness with which you make financial decisions. Feel the ease, the security, the confidence that comes from long-established prosperity. If you're manifesting love, don't imagine the moment of falling in love. Imagine the comfortable intimacy of a relationship that has matured over time. Feel the security of being deeply known and cherished. Feel the ease of being with someone who loves you completely. Can you feel the difference? One consciousness is anticipating, waiting, hoping. The other is relaxing, enjoying, being. One is looking toward a future moment. The other is living in an eternal present. And here's what will happen when you truly embody this consciousness. When you genuinely live from the assumption that your desire has been fulfilled for quite some time, you'll stop looking for signs. Not because you've given up, but because you're already living in the fulfillment. A sign indicates something that might be coming. But you don't need signs when you're already there. If you're manifesting love, don't imagine the moment of falling in love. Imagine the comfortable intimacy of a relationship that has matured over time. Feel the security of being deeply known and cherished. Feel the ease of being with someone who loves you completely. Can you feel the difference? One consciousness is anticipating, waiting, hoping. The other is relaxing, enjoying, being. One is looking toward a future moment. The other is living in an eternal present. And here's what will happen. When you truly embody this consciousness, when you genuinely live from the assumption that your desire has been fulfilled for quite some time, you'll stop looking for signs, not because you've given up, but because you're already living in the fulfillment. A sign indicates something that might be coming. But you don't need signs when you're already there. Let me share one final story that encapsulates everything I've taught tonight. Years ago, when I was still in Barbados, I had an intense desire to come to New York to study these very principles I now teach. But my circumstances seemed impossibly opposed to this desire. I had no money, no connections, no apparent way to make this journey. Most people in my position would have looked for signs. They would have watched for opportunities, searched for open doors, waited for indications that their desire was possible. But I had already learned the secret I'm sharing with you tonight. I didn't look for signs that I would go to New York. Instead, I went to New York in consciousness. Every night I fell asleep walking the streets of that great city. I felt the different air, saw the tall buildings, heard the sounds of Manhattan. I lived there so completely in consciousness that Barbados began to feel like the dream and New York like the reality. I didn't wait for signs. I didn't look for opportunities. I simply lived from the assumption that I belonged in New York, and I let the physical world catch up to where I already was in consciousness. And it did, in ways I could never have predicted or planned. Opportunities appeared, doors opened, and within months I found myself physically standing on the streets I had walked nightly in imagination. But by the time my feet touched New York pavement, I felt no sense of miracle or surprise. I felt I had finally arrived at a destination I'd been living in for months. The physical journey was merely the final step in a journey that had been completed in consciousness long before. This is what I mean when I say manifestation is always instant. The moment I truly assumed I belonged in New York, I was there, in consciousness, which is the only reality. The physical journey was simply the shadow catching up to the substance, the reflection conforming to the real. So tonight I leave you with this challenge. Choose one desire. Stop looking for signs that it's coming. Stop searching for evidence that it's possible. Stop wondering if it's working. Instead, assume it has already happened. Not that it will happen, not that it's trying to happen, but that it has happened. Assume you've been living in the fulfillment of this desire for quite some time. Let yourself feel the naturalness of it, the ordinariness of it, the taken for granted quality of it, and then, most importantly, live from that assumption regardless of what your physical senses tell you. When your bank account contradicts your assumed prosperity, live from prosperity anyway. When your empty apartment contradicts your assumed love, live from love anyway. When your current circumstances contradict your assumed success, live from success anyway. Not because you're denying reality, but because you're affirming the only reality that exists, consciousness. And consciousness, lived faithfully and persistently, must manifest in the physical world. It has no choice. It is law. Stop looking for signs, my friends. Start being the sign. Stop waiting for evidence. Start being the evidence. Stop hoping for manifestation. Start living from the manifestation that has already occurred in the eternal now of consciousness. Your desire is not coming to you. You are finally accepting your desire. And the moment you stop looking for it out there and start living from it in here, in consciousness, that's the moment it will surround you everywhere. The power is yours. The choice is yours. The manifestation is yours. It always has been. You're just learning to stop looking for what you already have and start living from what you already are. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.